Building automations can ruin your business if you don't need to be automating right now. So in this video, what I'm going to show you is when you shouldn't be thinking about building new AI automations and systems for your business. And we're going to start with a left field example. So Munchausen by proxy is basically a fictitious disorder created by someone else. So in the same way we have placebo effects with medication, you also have, like hypochondriacs who always think that they're ill, or people who create illness symptoms in other people by manipulating how that organism or how that person or how that pet, child, elderly person works, so that the individual can spend more time at care with the person or the pet that they have basically made ill. It's a mental illness. It's a mental illness that caretakers of children can create for those people that they're taking care of. So caregivers in Munchausen by proxy will either make up fake symptoms or cause real symptoms to occur to make it look like the child is sick, which allows them to take care of the child more. This is actually something that operations-minded people and tinkerers inside of businesses do when they find new toys that they can play with. It's a huge problem for all leaders in different departments of a business, and there really is one very, very straightforward solution. And this is a problem more so than anything because whenever you spend a lot of time doing something that you don't need to be doing right now, you're avoiding the thing that is the actual bottleneck of the business. And when you avoid the bottleneck of the business, that turns into, there's a butterfly effect that comes from that. And that butterfly effect will have worse effects on the rest of the business. So if you're in one space, not checking your mirrors, not looking anywhere else inside of the business, and you don't need to be there, and being there is actually making that part of the business worse, then the other bottlenecks and the consequences of having a prolonged bottleneck will start to feed into your outcomes more and more and more. And usually it leads to stagnating business. There's one very, very straightforward solution. Deal with first things first. You should only be automating when in pain. So I've got two ideas which I'm going to use to illustrate this point. And the first one is called the freedom formulae. So the freedom formulae is knowledge, skill, power, freedom. And I've used 4 formulas for each of these words in order to illustrate what I mean by all 4 of those words. Knowledge is your awareness and your understanding of things. And the formula for that is A, in brackets, UT plus UE. So UT is your tacit understanding of things. It is the understanding of things that you have that you can't explain, that you just know because intuitively you just have this understanding. And then UE is explicit understanding. This is what I picked up from a book. This is what I picked up from a friend, what I picked up from a teacher, what I picked up from a student. These are the things that you have in your brain that you can regurgitate whenever you need to. Those get multiplied by your awareness of life, by your awareness of different realms, by your awareness of the things that you know or are exposed to. Skill is your breadth and your depth of capabilities. It is how much you can do something and how well you can do that thing, how much nuance you can see within the thing that you are doing. That feeds into power, and power in this, if we're talking about this kind of terminology, is how long it takes to move from your current reality to your desired reality. So I've phrased it in the same way that the speed equation is phrased, which is desired reality minus current reality over time. So it's distance over time, which is speed. And then freedom is simply what you believe and how much creativity that you have. So why am I using this formula in order to explain why you shouldn't be tinkering with things in your business? Well, if you can look at how this works, the more knowledge you have, the more skill you can have. The more skill you have, the more power you can have. And the more power you have, the more freedom you can have. If your goal is to get to the next level of revenue, that is what freedom is to you. You need to take the skills that are going to get you to your desired outcome and do nothing else. When you know a lot of stuff, or you're researching a lot or developing a lot of nuance in one particular area of the business, which is, here, but over here, you've not paid attention and something bad is happening, then everything that you were doing right here, right now, is logically correct, because if you improve certain aspects of the business, it is a good thing to do. So logically, if we're talking, me doing this is a good thing, logically, yes. But in reality, it's actually a very bad thing for you to be doing right now, because there is a fire over here. And the best example of this is when people don't spend a lot of time looking at how they could get more leads into the business when lead flow is the problem that they have. Let's say they have an outstanding offer and they put this offer in front of they don't put this offer in front of a lot of people, but when they put this offer in front of people, people are biting their hand off for it. If you do not focus on getting this offer in front of more people, then you won't be able to deal with you basically won't be able to grow past the point that you're at right now. So if you're going in and you're fixing your onboarding flows, you're creating crazy project management systems, when instead of that, you could be creating trigger-based lead generation automations, then you are making a mistake, because the thing that you are focusing on is not the thing you should be focusing on at this current point in time. So again, if your goal is to get to that next level of revenue, as an example, then you need to take what's going to get you there and nothing else, because everything else that you know is currently a distraction from the small things that you need to know and that you need to put into place in order to make the thing happen, in order to get you to the goal that you're trying to get to. So that's number one. That's the freedom formula. Now, bottleneck thinking. A lot of business functions can be boiled down to just very simple funnels. And the goal of these funnels is to get as much input from the top of the funnel all the way through to the bottom of the funnel. So, and most of what doesn't come out of the other end of a funnel is usually due to poor capture. So here's where you can implement systems in order to increase the capture of a funnel. And I'm going to show you how focusing on the wrong parts of the system leads to a degradation of the funnel at large. So let's look at the top part. So we have deliverability, lead list, copy, infrastructure. So in here, we're talking about essentially a cold outreach campaign or a LinkedIn outreach campaign, or even cold calling, because the copy can be the script that you're following with cold calling as well. So if you do not have the correct infrastructure, for example, your email domains are broken, or you have, you don't have predictive dialers set up or power dialers set up, or you're not using Expandy, or your Expandy links are broken, then focusing on the people that you are scraping and building a bunch of data workflows in order to get a lot of lead lists created isn't going to help you, because the problem is infrastructure, not the lead list. And if you move down, you can see here, responses, positive responses, meetings booked, showed calls. So this is like the second part. This is the inbox management, response handling part of the system. If you are not getting a lot of responses, then focusing on booked call flows is a stupid idea. If you're getting a lot of positive responses and a lot of meetings booked, but you're not getting any showed calls, then everything up here is, you need to be able to maintain it. But you shouldn't be focusing on making these parts better, because the problem right now is the fact that no one's showing up to your calls. So you need to develop systems and develop workflows and develop automations, for example, text reminder automations and email automations and generation of WhatsApp chats which send voicemails and voice memos, and etc. Doing all of that, as far as creating systems and automations is concerned, is a very good idea to do. Doing anything outside of that is the problem. And then we have agenda set, discovery, pain point discovery, pitch, objections, logistics, contract sent, follow up, and then close. So a lot of these are just, having salespeople who are following a sales structure and a, like a pitch, like a well written out pitch. So if we're talking about systems and what to focus on, if the problem is that nobody is doing really good discovery as far as the salespeople are concerned, then yes, that is a problem, but that's not something that a system per se, AI automations, is going to fix for you. Unless you're someone who's currently looking into different types of software that's currently being built, because there's a bunch of things being built right now. But let's say, for example, you are in real estate. You could be in real estate development. You could be a real estate agent or broker or something along those lines. You need to send off a bunch of Panda docs because you have, purchase agreements or deeds of trust that need to get signed. If you are doing all of those manually, and the ability for you to have a lot of closes is purely how quickly you can get these contracts out and these contracts sent, then building proposal generator flows and contract generator flows that can be spawned with a click of a button is a very good type of system to have for your business. Anything else is a dumb idea. After that, where we're looking at follow-ups and closes, time to value, results, and upsell, now we're talking about operations. So if we have everything up here working the way that it should be working, and you're closing deals left, right, and center, but your time to value is really bad, then that may be reason for you to get an onboarding flow in place. So let's say, for example, you're working as we could do landing page design as an example, or we could even do email marketing as an example. The moment that someone closes and someone fills out their onboarding form, you should have the first few emails written up by AI. You should have a system where there are a number of examples of winning emails. You have swipe files upon swipe files that are being read by a vector database that AI is reading from. And when you send, and when the client sends their onboarding form into you, you get an understanding of the product. You get an understanding of the USP and the other copy angles and things that you would need to highlight, things you would need to avoid, and feed that with a one click button from your project management system into this AI system, which should spit out the campaign or the campaigns or the flow builds that you're trying to make. That should just happen. And you should be able to send that almost directly to the client if it is good enough. That is time to value. And if you can do that, you can get a very, very great first impression, and customer success becomes way, way easier. After that, we're talking results. And if you're really good at closing people, but you're terrible at keeping clients, usually it's results. It's almost always results. And doing this is basically based on just having an order of the things that you would need to do. Sometimes you're just not good enough, which just happens. Sometimes the thing that you do, you are not as good as other people at, and because of that, you simply cannot generate certain results. If maybe your copy is bad, maybe the ad creatives that you make for the funnels that you make for clients is bad, maybe you just simply don't know about Hyros or any of these other types of campaign budget optimization tools that are out there for Facebook and all kinds of stuff that are going to make your campaigns better. Maybe you just simply do not understand that, or you don't have the cash flow in order to get there. Maybe you don't have the means in order to develop those. You kind of get my point. If you don't have those raw items in order to make your results better, then you would need to focus on those. But if you do have those, and then the problem ends up becoming things like, my team that are currently working aren't doing what they need to be doing because things aren't falling on their lap where they should be, or it takes too long to get revisions back from clients, X, Y, and Z, then building in approval workflows and things like that, which would help speed those things up. That would also alert the client if you haven't heard back from them. Let's say, for example, it's an email chain. Then having those will improve the ability for you to get things out quicker and test them, which will improve your iterative speed, which will then create more and more results. And then upsell would be, if you don't have a system which is kind of similar to this system here with, agenda set, discovery, pain point discovery, pitch, objections, logistics, contract sent, but for the upsell process, then you getting more leads, you getting more business without needing more leads is something that just won't happen. So this is like a massive overview of bottleneck thinking. And if you're looking at the wrong part of the system, or you're building something which does not affect the broken part of this funnel, then you're creating problems for your business that you should not be creating, because there is a problem elsewhere that you need to be looking at. So in closing, deal with first things first. You should only be automating when in pain, and you need to build systems to unclog the funnels in your business. If your team doesn't have the capacity, or your systems are failing because what you've built keeps on breaking, then you need to look into building new systems, because you're at the point of maximization, and pushing any harder will reduce the quality of the work that you're producing. If there are problems that cause complaints with your team, let's say people on your team, whenever you meet on a Monday, they say, hey, I'm getting too many of this happening. This is happening too much. I can't find this. This keeps on breaking. Or you can't get decent visibility as a manager or as a leader on the processes that you're managing. Or too many people are just making mistakes doing low-cost labor instead of the creative needle-moving tasks. Then yes, you would need to look into building systems. And again, they need to be at the point of pain. They need to be where the problems arise and where the bottleneck is, which is stopping you from getting you to your goals. And if you're not there, do not start tinkering with things. So a lot of what I explained when I was going through the funnel are examples of the things that I build for certain businesses. And all of these things can be wrapped up in a very nice bow and delivered into a business. So even if you do have these problems, and it's not, sometimes you need to get these things built, but it shouldn't be you who's building them. And when that is the case, you basically need to, look into having someone else do it, or increase the speed at which they can be done. So to close off, if you're not dealing with first things first, then you're dealing with the wrong problems. And if you're not building the right systems, then you're also avoiding the problems that you know that you need to fix.